Assalamualaikum to Professor Madya, Dr. Haji Shahnawi. My name is Muhammad Syamil bin Zainal Abidin, and today I would like to present a court case of cybersecurity between Selina binti Yahya against Maxis Broadband Sendirian Berhad. So these are the main points that we are going to explore. The facts of the case, the issues of the case, judgment, analysis and critique, and also the reference. The fact of the case. The main issue in the case is whether Maxis was justified in firing Selina after she sent confidential company documents to an unauthorized person outside the company. The court had to decide if her actions amounted to serious misconduct and whether the dismissal was fair and reasonable. So, moving on to the detail of the fact of the case. The claimant, Selina binti Yahya, worked at Maxis Broadband as a prepaid go-to-market, or also known as GTM, senior specialist in the IT department since 14 November of 2011. The issue began on February 19th of 2023 when Selina sent 3 confidential Maxis documents to an unauthorized third party named Samsul Bahari, and it's using his personal email. These documents contain sensitive information about Maxis fiber contract waiver automaton process. So 2 days later, on 21 February of 2023, Selina admitted that the documents were confidential and confirmed that she had sent them using her personal email account. Maxis then launched an internal investigation. On 3rd March of 2023, during her interview, Selina acknowledged that she shared the documents without approval, even though she had previously undergone cybersecurity training. On 19th April of 2023, Maxis issued a show cause letter outlining the misconduct. Selina responded on 25 April, but her explanation was considered unsatisfactory, and she did not deny sending the confidential information. As a result, on 12 May of 2023, Maxis terminated her employment for serious misconduct involving the unauthorized disclosure of confidential company information. Selina appealed the decision on 18 May of 2023, but her appeal was rejected on 25 June. She then brought the matter to the Industrial Court under the section of 20 (3) of the Industrial Relations Act of 1967. After reviewing the evidence, the court concluded that Maxis had proven the misconduct and had just cause and excuse to dismiss her. Moving on to the issues of the case. First, we got the unauthorized disclosure of confidential information. The key issue was whether the claimant, Selina, had committed misconduct by sending confidential Maxis documents to an unauthorized third party. The court needed to determine whether if her action breached Maxis policies on confidentiality, data protection, and cybersecurity, and of course, whether her admission of sending the documents without approval amounted to a serious violation of her duties as an employee. Next one, we have just cause and excuse for dismissal. Another issue was whether Maxis had just cause and excuse to terminate Selina's employment, and this required the court to evaluate whether the investigation was properly conducted and whether the show cause process was fair, and whether the nature of the misconduct was serious enough to justify immediate dismissal. The court also had to assess whether Selina's explanation or intent, such as helping a friend, could serve as a valid defense or reduce her responsibility. Next is the adequacy of the internal investigation. The claimant argued that the Maxis did not conduct a formal domestic inquiry. The issue for the court was whether the investigations taken in meetings, interviews, suspensions, and the show cause process were sufficient and fair. The court had to decide if the absence of a full inquiry affected the validity of the dismissal. And the last one is the employee's duty of confidentiality. The court also examined whether Selina, as a senior employee, had an implied and explicit duty to protect confidential information. This included assessing whether she understood Max's confidentiality rules, cybersecurity training and policies, and whether her actions violated the trust placed in her role. Judgment of the case. The court concluded that Maxis had valid and sufficient reasons to dismiss Selina, as the evidence clearly showed that she sent confidential company documents to an unauthorized third party and admitted doing so without approval. Despite her claim of helping a friend, the court held that her actions breached Maxis confidentiality policies and violated her duties as senior employee, who had undergone cybersecurity training. The investigation carried out by Maxis was found to be reasonable, even without a formal domestic inquiry, and the company had the right to determine the seriousness of the misconduct. Because Maxis successfully proved the breach on a balance of probabilities, the court ruled that the dismissal was justified and dismissed Selina's claim. Moving on to analysis and critique. The first thing to analyze is the misconduct established. Selina admitted sending confidential Maxis documents to an external party, and the documents involved sensitive internal project information. She, as a senior staff member, was expected to know what confidentiality rules is. The next one is procedural fairness. Although no formal domestic inquiry was held, the employer conducted suspension with notice, interview and recorded statement, show cause letter and reply, and also the court held that domestic inquiry is not mandatory, and substantial fairness was satisfied. The third point is the burden of proof. Employers successfully proved misconduct on balance of probabilities supported by her own admissions. Once proven, dismissal fell within employer's discretion. Next one is seriousness of misconduct. Company policies classify unauthorized disclosure as major misconduct. Confidentiality breaches in IT cybersecurity settings are treated as serious because of data protection is at risk. And the last one is court's conclusion. Dismissal was supported by just cause and excuse. The claim was dismissed. The critique of the case. The first one is limited consideration of mitigating factors. The court did not examine alternatives to dismissal of factors like long service, lack of malicious intent, or absence of proven harm. The second one is lack of assessment of actual confidentiality level. The court accepted Max's classification without analyzing the real sensitivity of whether the documents were truly trade secrets. The third one is weak proportionality analysis. No detailed evaluation of whether dismissal was the only appropriate punishment, as often required in industrial relations. Next is the recipient's nature not fully considered. Samsul, a worker of Digital National Berhad (DNB), is not a competitor, and the court did not analyze whether the disclosure caused or could cause real competitive harm. And the last one is over-reliance on employer policies. The judgment depended heavily on Max's internal policies without evaluating whether they were consistently enforced or clearly communicated. As for the reference that I use, is the full documentation of Selina binti Yahya versus Maxis Broadband Sdn Berhad of 2025 ILJU 284. I hope that the case is covered fully and thank you for watching.